Topi Kortaniemi began this season deeply in the hole. Misfortune wouldn't seem to leave the Finn alone. It took until race 4 to finally stand on the podium. Naturally, he did so with a win. Since then, he's topped the steps in half of the races. That now brings us to a contest in the finale between he and Hawkins, in which whoever finishes ahead will likely be the champion. Let's see who gets crowned as we get ready to watch round 12 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Christian Challoner. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. One of the most popular tracks in the 49, Spa makes a fitting closer. Let's head to our track guide to learn more about it. Welcome to Spa-Francorchamps. Less than an hour's drive east from the German border, this Belgian track has come to define racing for many different eras in the sport. It's no wonder it continues to entrance drivers when you look at the stats. The 7 kilometers over the course of a lap includes more than 330 feet in elevation change as it weaves its way through the Ardennes forest. Packed into this is 19 turns, some of which are considered among the most famous in the world of racing. Corners like La Source and Blanchement have been on the lips of drivers for decades. But by far the most notorious is Eau Rouge and Rétillon. Typically referred to in name by just the first section, it dips low and swings left, then compresses and climbs to the right up a massive hill. The sequence ends with a completely blind crest that sweeps to the left and leads onto the incredibly long Kemmel Straight. The bravery required to be fast through there will pay off towards one of the most popular passing spots at Lacombe. Eau Rouge is exemplary of the rest of the circuit though. Most of the turns are incredibly fast and many include much of that signature elevation change. As jaw-dropping as the track is, you have to remember that this is the modern truncated layout. The old one, raced until 1979, was 14 kilometers in length, yet carried an average speed of 150 miles per hour. Present-day safety measures do cut down on the danger, but even in recent history, the circuit has proven deadly. It's clear why this track continues to be revered and respected by racers the world round. Well, it might not be the Spa that the 49 actually raced at, Christian, but I gotta say, this is a track that feels like it fits this car.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. Obviously, it's not the true old school Spa that the actual 49 would have ran, so a little bit less dangerous, I would say, versus that version, but, you know, it's still probably one of, if not the best, modern F1 tracks. And it'll definitely put on a great show for us today. There's that huge run from La Source all the way down to Lacombe. There's going to be tons of passing for sure down there. 7 kilometers long track, so obviously not too many laps today, which means not going to be that many opportunities to kind of take advantage of that run down to Lacombe. But I do think it's going to put on a great show, as Spa always does, and is very, very well suited to the car.
Indeed, these long sweeping corners will just feel like heaven to those drivers, but as we take a look at today's race details, you mentioned the 15 laps for this season finale. We'll only leave them going by the spectators a few times, but they have open setups. Hopefully you can get that car nice and stable in those quick corners. They don't have a spare car as well, so if they do run past the limits of those paved runoffs, well, they're going to have to deal with it by coming into pit lane. Drive-through penalty will be at 17 incidents and disqualification at 25. That will actually be a fairly big concern for some drivers who are a little sloppy with the track boundaries out there, since some of them are just painted lines and there is that paved runoff. So watch out for that throughout the course of the race, and hopefully we don't lose anybody through that. We want to see all 41 of our drivers manage to get to the checkered flag here today. So with that, as we'll take a look at the points in a bit, I mentioned that Topi Kortaniemi is leading, and it's going to be close. It's whoever finishes ahead almost, unless they have some sort of issue and they finish far back in the field, because there's multiple points between the positions through much of the top spots for these drivers, and it's 64 win. There's a single point between them. Now, that said, do we actually have Brandon Hawkins here? And I do not see him, which will mean that Topi Kortaniemi will be crowned champion no matter what happens from here, because he is a point ahead. He doesn't even have to score any. That's a little bit of a sad way to end it, as we're looking forward to this being a bit of a championship title fight. But there you can see what it came in as and why we were so excited. Sebastian Tixier, unfortunately, is a little too far back to overtake either of them. So he is stuck in third unless Ben Zocco or Xavier Sanchez or Laust Olsen is able to outscore him. But we'll see. Actually, no, I take that back. I take a look at that now, and they're too far behind as well, except for Zocco, who's maybe a scant few points within reach, but it'll take something phenomenal for that to change places. A little bit more exciting and a little bit closer is down in the F2 Championship. Christian, how's that one sitting?
Yeah, just a 19-point lead there, but that is obviously quite a large points gap in the F2 Championship. We've often seen these guys pick up about a 40-point score as kind of the highest watermark of the F2 drivers. So 19 points is quite a lot. It's going to pretty much take a no finish, really, or another DNF from David Rossi to allow Michael Grissinger to close that gap and overhaul him. Don Peak is 39 points back, so he's going to need a lot of helping hand, I think, to have a run at this and have a great run himself to actually win the championship. I think it's a little bit out of reach. Then we got Marcus Seifer. He's 13 points back. He's got a chance of that third spot if anything does happen to Don. And then just 5 points further back, Robert Alberta. He's 57 off the lead overall, so definitely too far back at this point. And then we've got Gary Ho, Tobias Harvey, Andrew Eng, Cam Porter and Zach Purcell. All this area I think is up for grabs, especially 7th on back. Gary might be a little kind of far ahead and have that 6th spot locked out, but 7th through 10th entirely up for grabs. Only 7 points between them all.
Absolutely. And as we take a look at the Nations Cup, we have been informed that Gary Ho is one of those contributing to the Singapore Nations Cup of Nations points. So he's helped bring them up to 4th where they sit now. But right now, Finland looking like the ones that have this wrapped up over Canada. Hawkins has been contributing to that, although he has had a few friends that have been able to get up there and chuck some points in as well. It's a bit of a tight fight between Singapore and the U.S., though. Watch out for the United States to try and get involved in this. The U.K., at times, a little bit better than this in previous seasons, not so this year, but they do have Mick Claridge back today, it looks like, to try and compete. We heard him say that he was going to try and stay out of it, but I guess he could not resist Spa because he has one of the winningest records here of various drivers in the history of this track in the Grand Prix Legends. So they're in the midst of qualifying, but it takes so long to get around here that the drivers have not yet set a time. And in fact, there's probably going to be a few that don't get to set a second lap. This could be their one and only lap around here this first time around. So if you have an off track, Christian, that's going to really ruin your day.
Yeah, absolutely. And even worse, if you have an actual incident and you have to reset the car, it's basically you're qualifying over because it takes 2 minutes to get around the track total. So it's very, very up against it to actually get a time in.
Yeah, and we should just be seeing a few of them come across here soon, I believe. It is, I want to say, in the range of about 2:15s for our quickest drivers. And there we go, Topi Kortinemi, a 2:18 it looks like here today, as that puts him about a second and a half clear of Mick Claridge. That is mighty fast because Mick is not slow around this place. Togo Hisada is going to get a little bit closer. He'll put himself on the front row. He comes back to try and face off. And how about Ben Zocco briefly in third? He gets shuffled back with Nieva now into third himself. So Nieva in fourth, Trangrade in third. And things are constantly changing. We're still waiting on about a dozen drivers.
It looks like Topi's pulled up his second lap, so he's going to go with that 2:18.1. It is a 7/10 advantage, so he might still be safe, but we have typically seen that the second lap is the faster lap throughout the season so far.
Absolutely. Now, Claridge, who is dealing with some wrist problems, we understand, is not as fast, perhaps because of that. I think he did mention that he was struggling slightly trying to manage that throughout the race. Can't necessarily push as hard, but I see Yaozi Lin's first lap was a 21.3. That put him into 17th. Now, what's interesting about Lin is he's our number one driver out there today, an incredible I rating at over 6K for him. So this might be something where he's newer to the car. As we take a look at the onboard of Laust Olsen coming back to us once again. He's managed 13th place on his first lap through, so just outside of the top 10. Both he and Lin are going to be coming across around the same time here as Lin's just coming through the bus stop, and we can see approaching Blanchemont. This is the end of the lap here that we've got for Laust Olsen. But we got to remember, this is the old version, the classic pit. So the finish line is actually after La Source.
Yeah, and that is kind of a little bit of a, abnormality, I suppose. I kind of was a bit confused at first when I saw the cones across the GP pit entrance, because I've not seen that in such a long time. But it's worth mentioning this for the start of the race, that you don't have that kind of funnel into La Source like you would do, but you've got a potentially even worse funnel down into Eau Rouge. So it is going to be tricky with 41 cars here to get everyone up through Eau Rouge and actually to the de facto first corner at Le Combe.
And Togo Hisada has taken the pole away from Courtenay by 0.03 of a second. Trangrade unable to improve on his fourth place. Sebastian Tixier only gets himself up into fifth. Nieva stays P6 without improving his lap time. Rodriguez and Linden are trying to get across, but it looks like the time is up. So our grid is set here today, and it is a full field. So that'll be Togo Hisada on the pole position. Topi Courtenay, who is essentially champion just by starting this race, will be P2, and McClarridge will be third. After that, it is Ove Trangrade in fourth with Sebastian Tixier P5. Nieva P6 for him, with Ben Zoko starting the fourth row in seventh. Laust Olsen able to jump up to eighth on his second lap. Kane Lasky was ninth, and Bill Tyler will start P10.
John Olsen lines up alongside Neil Kemp for 11th and 12th spot. David Rossi, good qualifying for him, starting off with one hand on the trophy, I would say, for that F2 championship in 13th. Gary Ho, another F2 driver with a great qualifying, he's in 14th. Then we've got Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado, Miraranski in 15th and 16th. Matt Wright and Yangzi Lee back there in 17th and 18th. Michael Grissinger back in 19th. He's got work to do, and he has Nolan Smith alongside him in 20th.
21st goes Andre Schumacher and Nicholas Morelli to his outside. Robert Plumley will start P23. Then it's Cam Porter in 24th. Pongrazi will be on the inside of the next row, followed by Don Peak in 26th. You've got Manuel Pereira in 27th. After that, it's Tobias Harnby. You've got Bjorn Ackerman in 29th, and then on his outside, Manuel Matisic.
We got Andrew Eng and Zach Purcell lined up alongside each other. They're in a tight points battle, 31st and 32nd. Then Timothy Porter and Michael Flatterly, the last two drivers to set qualifying times. After that is Javier Mosquera, Joan Rodriguez, Robert Arruda, Mats Linden, Jared Wells, back row Bob, Robert Reynolds, and Jacob Hudson, rounding out 41 cars.
All right, lined up and ready to go. Waiting for just a few more to put themselves out on the grid. And it is going to be quite the run down into Eau Rouge. Thankfully, there's plenty of stuff on either side so that they can maybe try and abandon if there is some sort of melee. But it will start to narrow up eventually once they hit the top. Looks like everyone's ready as the engines now start to rev and the lights come up for the season finale of the Grand Prix Legends. And the green flag is out as they accelerate off the line. Hisada already being gained upon by Courtenay and Claridge, and Topi's going to get by the time they get through Eau Rouge up and over Radion. It looks like he is our new leader, but will the slipstream allow a repass back through? Looking behind, I didn't see anybody wrecking there. They've also got Tixier and Trangrade trying to gain as they fly up the Kemmel Straight. A defense from Topi down into Le Combe, and it looks like they're going to stay in that order. Courtenay versus Hisada.
Yeah, quick reversal of the front two positions. Someone has spun out of Le Combe.
Looks like Nieva and I see Pongrazi off to the side of the track as well. Unfortunately, Claridge trying to overtake on Hisada. In fact, he's still side by side with a Japanese driver, and it looks like the Brit is going to be able to move up into second place. He is a master here. Oh, Hisada's into the wall. He actually slams into the tire barrier. Not sure if he has damage, but he's going to try and continue.
Yeah, it looks like he's a little bit off pace already, and you know, a disastrous start for him. And we've kind of seen this before with Togo Hisada, that he put in some absolutely ballistic qualifying times, and then lap one of the race, it can all slip away from him.
Looks like there is also a problem with Don Peak as he is limping around the track right now, and the car looks severely damaged. There he is on your screen. So not sure if he was involved in those two other incidents, but it certainly looks like something made contact with the car out there. So, Courtenay, Claridge, and Tixier are your top three currently. Looks like Trangrade's holding on to Mick and Sebastian right now before you get a bit of a gap back to Zoko in P5. But it's a huge breakaway for the Finn of Courtenay.
Yeah, this is something that we've seen so much from him throughout the season, that he's just able to get away at the start of the races as they're battling behind him. They're going to lose that opportunity to draft back up to him, and they're making themselves vulnerable, and Claridge is spun around, and there's more incidents happening as well. It's a huge stack up.
Tixier, Trangrade, oh no, cars running into one another now. I'm trying to see Neil Kemp, I think, involved in that. Eventually they're going to be able to get going. Oh my goodness, it has been a messy start at the front, and still they're wrecking here down the front stretch. Coming down to the inside, Claridge gets it back going. He's 3 wide, makes a little bit of contact with Cam Porter briefly.
Yeah, Tixier got clipped as well. He's out of the race. He's reset himself to the pits.
All right, we'll try and go back to that replay in a little bit. So not only did we see Togo Hisada fall backwards, now Mick Claridge has gone to the wayside. Zoko gets promoted up into second. Kane Lasky is now into third. That's a name we haven't seen this high up in some time, although he's going to lose it very quickly to Bill Tyler. Lau Stolson has jumped himself up into fifth with all the chaos happening around him. And look at this string of cars. This is all a fight for third.
Yes, with the exception of Topi, everyone else who started in the top 5 had issues on the first lap. Some of them severe enough that they're essentially out of the race.
Unbelievable beginning to this race, and we're only on lap 2 as they plunge down out of no name towards Puhan. Zoko starting to run away from them along with Courtenay, although he is well away from the Finn. But the top 2 basically have some breathing space to start things off. We follow Bill Tyler there in the blue and white, leading Lasky, Olsen, the other Olsen, and Rossi's actually caught up to that. How's that for the F2?
Yeah, Rossi was able to jump from 13th to 7th, avoiding that carnage. He's just in a great spot, really. If he can even finish in the top 10 still, he's going to pick up a ton of points for that F2 championship. But how about Ben Zoko? He told us that he really enjoyed Spa. I don't think he was expecting that he'd be running second and with quite a comfortable gap here on lap 2.
Yeah, we have to remember he started this thing in 7th place and now is all the way up on the podium. So as he circles his way around Blanchemont down towards the braking of the bus stop, remember, this is not going to be the final corner. They have to get all the way around the source to finish things up. And if you heard us, as we got another battle behind him, looks like Lasky on Laust Olsen, or Olsen actually trying to make the move on Lasky, I should say. Doesn't make it stick. John Olsen watching from behind him, hoping to try and take advantage as they brake hard coming into La Source. They also need to watch out for Rossi because he could maybe even get higher than 7th here. They're starting to be gained upon by multiple other cars. Miro Faraski, Salgado, Yaozi Lin is in there. Matt Wright, Nolan Smith. This goes all the way back to 12th now.
Yeah, and that's the danger when you try and make a pass into the bus stop chicane at Spa. If you don't pull it off, you can kind of make yourself vulnerable to everyone else in the train behind you, and it's actually given a little bit of breathing space to Bill Tyler at the front.
Tixier looks like he has apologized. I think he's taken a little bit of responsibility for the incident, what I'm gathering in the text chat. So feeling a little sheepish here today after that mistake. Unfortunately compromised a lot of people's races, but innocent mistakes, you can't blame them too much. Everybody's racing hard. It's the last one of the season. Now, you heard us mention the F2 Championship, of course, with David Rossi in this group. There is no difference between the cars, as a reminder. It is strictly denoted by iRating, so everybody's still in the same machinery. This is just an unofficial championship that the drivers run here with the official races.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we've even seen past F2 champions actually mixing it up in the top 5 of the race. So clearly, you know, they do have the pace. It's just purely that iRating kind of demarcation that happens and gives them that second championship to fight for.
Yeah, Jorge Nieva comes to mind as he was taking podiums in previous seasons. He's been promoted to the F1 championship. Unfortunately, today, he's not doing quite as well as he got caught up in that incident. Speaking of which, I think maybe we might have a bit of time to try and either look at the wreck into Lacombe or perhaps the one into the bus stop on that first lap here. Let's see if we can get that spooled up. Whole train of cars still absolutely stuck together. No big surprise there as the slipstream makes it easy to try and hold on to one another. Here we go. Let's take a look and see what we can see into the bus stop. I know it started with Tixier and Claridge. This, is this Nieva? This is number 21. And then this is Hisada having his issue down through No Name. You can see it really got loose mid-corner and didn't quite see the contact, but definitely both right side tires slapping into the tire barrier.
Yeah, that was enough for him to retire the car. And I think what happened in that kind of bus stop chicane incident was there was just some contact in that kind of top 5. Claridge got spun around and actually was kind of the luckiest of the group because he ended up being spun off the track. Then you had Tixier and Trangarade. They were kind of stuck in the middle, and Tixier tried to get back out of the way and actually clipped the 21 of Cam Porter, who's been able to keep going, but Tixier had to retire.
So that was the one that we saw, and I think we're going to take one more look. Yeah, he had a great run, almost lost the car coming through Blanchimont, managed to get side by side in this fight for seconds, tried to keep in it. Oh, he got covered off, and then he took another stab, but it was that second go that really upset things. And yeah, I think that's Ove that kind of turned him around the rest of the way, and that really caused most of the damage.
Yeah, it's just an unfortunate situation. You know, he got turned around at the second part of the chicane, and they kind of didn't wash to the outside of the track. They just ended up in the middle, and it's really, really difficult for people to actually even kind of see where that is, because it is a slight uphill through that chicane. So when you're kind of cutting back to the left, you can't really see a lot as to what's happening down the straightaway, even though you would sort of think that you could. So it's reasonably blind for everyone behind, and you just don't expect there to be cars in the middle of the track like that.
Claridge is just not doing too bad trying to climb back through the field. He's already up to 11th and been picking him off bit by bit. Whoa, there's somebody behind him. Goes way wide. That's going to be Nolan Smith, another driver that usually is punching above his I rating, if you will. He unfortunately lost that one to Plumley, though, in the process. So Robert is up into 13th position, picking that one up as we look forward once again to Olsen down through the La Source hairpin and heading towards Eau Rouge. Just ahead of him, that is Kane Lasky. We're going to watch his onboard once again. No pucker factor right now.
No, I think he's happy at the moment. He's in 5th. He's in the kind of the big train all the way up to about 3rd spot. Zoko's just escaped, I would say. He's got about 3 seconds on Bill Tyler at this point. I think Tyler's just about in range of Lasky, and then everybody from that point on backwards is essentially in the same train. It really does run all the way down to about 18th place.
Yeah, this is... Oh, and we've lost Lynn. Lynn has gone off, so the number 1 car, who is steadily picking up spots here and there, is suddenly plunging down the timing screens. You can see him try to use that escape road to get back on. Let's see if he had help or if this was all his own doing.
Oh, it just looks like it got away from him on the brakes, was in there a little bit deep. Looked like he had Claridge behind him. I wonder if he was just trying to outbrake him.
Oh, yeah, he's counter steering as soon as he turned the car in. So yeah, he knew that thing was gone as soon as he started to take the corner. Here we go. Let's see how close Claridge is. Yes, he's pressurizing him a little bit, but I think that was just maybe overdriving on his own.
Yeah, definitely looked like it was just an unforced error there.
So that sends him down to what appears to be 18th. He's back on the track. Didn't hit anything, just maybe a little embarrassed about the mistake. So we come back live now. I can tell you that Laust Olsen is getting kind of close to Kane Lasky as they come through Blanchimont here in just a moment. Not flat out in these machines, and he could maybe try and attack into the bus stop, but he was not quick through that left-hander. So a little bit of a defense from Kane Lasky just to cover him off, and unfortunately that actually put him offline at the first apex.
Yeah, it's actually checked him up through the bus stop there, and now Laust has got a really good run. He's going to go to the outside. It's going to be tricky to complete this move, but if he can kind of box Lasky in a little bit, it should give him the run up through Eau Rouge and Lacan.
Yeah, this is where he needs to have a great run through Eau Rouge. Try and stick right underneath the gearbox of that number 7 machine. Let's see if he can do it. That'll give him a nice slipstream. If so, he falls back a little bit early, comes back slightly on the exit. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. They're also pulling along John Olsen, who briefly looked like he could try and catch up, but no, it is a good tow as Laust Olsen forces a little weaving from Lasky, who feels under threat. He covers off the inside early, and still nothing for Laust Olsen, but now he's starting to get some shaking in the boots of the number 7 car.
Yeah, and I think Laust is pretty nice about that situation, if I'm honest. I don't think I would have been quite so kind there to Kane. Kane sort of went a bit defensive and then sort of drove in the middle of the track all the way to the corner, and there was a gap on the inside that Laust could have really, sent it up through, and actually elected not to do so.
I'm just trying to preserve the car, especially with how many positions he's gotten here. He's up 3 just from being able to survive up to this stage. As they come down through Pouhon once again. Looks like, Claridge is already behind them. My goodness, in the background, that pair that you see, that's him catching up to Rossi. And he's going to take a little bit of a look down at Afanya and is not quite able to make the pass happen. But I think this is looking like a matter of time with his pace he's shown.
Yeah, recovery's been solid here from Mick, and actually he's got a bit more pace than I thought he would have after that incident, because we saw it with Togo that if you kind of lock wheels with anything or hit wheels against anything in the 49, it can be very, very detrimental. But it doesn't look like it's hurt Mick at all here, and he's got some really good pace.
Still hovering behind David Rossi, our F2 points leader coming into this race. Ooh, big blink from him there, though. But he is much stronger down into the bus stop chicane, and that should be the spot done for the number 3 car. Next on his list is John Olsen, and then he'll start to get tangled up with Laust Olsen and Kane Lasky as well, who haven't decided that position. Fastest lap goes to Courtenay, who continues to lead by a massive margin of 13 seconds.
Yeah, Topi has very clearly checked out once again. He's got a 13-second advantage this week, and we're not even halfway through the race yet.
Yeah, that is pretty impressive, the average pace difference there. Some of that helped, of course, by the incidents that we saw earlier on. Ooh, this is an even better run from Laust. Will Kane still pull those similar moves? He was much farther to the inside this time, and Laust is going to outbrake him around the outside. Does he chop down? No. He's going to leave him space, and in fact, too much. He went all the way off. He comes back on. He gets run into, and now Mick Claridge is going to get into the back of him with no place to go. Cars having to scatter to try and avoid a bigger incident.
Yeah, I think Laust is done here. I think that hit's going to take him out of the race.
And that
someone else has gone off as well.
As John Olsen, I think. John Olsen got into the back of him. Yeah, just lifted him up in the air. Claridge did a good job keeping from hitting him any harder. So Olsen, unfortunately, having to take a tow. Car is too damaged. Claridge is up to 6. He lost that spot right back to Rossi. Yeah, you're going to see him just pull the car off and realize that his day is done. Lasky's into fourth. As we come back to Cam Porter, he's been in quite the battle with Grissinger, but it looks like he's starting to pull away now. This has gotten him into 13th place.
Yeah, he's looking at perhaps another top 10 here, but he's got a couple of cars to get ahead of. He's got Schumacher, Smith, Plumley, pretty significantly down the road. Plumley.
Currently, looks like way up the road. That's about 5 seconds to go before they are able to get to them. But remember, Cam Porter started this in 24th, so he is up by, gosh, what is that, 11 positions. Fantastic out here. We were just praising him last week that it seems like he's been picking up the pace lately, both here and in the Camel Series. Been showing himself to be one to watch out for, as that was a dive on him from Michael Grissinger, but unfortunately didn't work out for Michael, and he has to regroup and try again later in that orange machine.
Yeah, and Cam actually looked pretty unfazed by that. I'm not sure he was, even looking out for a dive there. He was just driving his own race. But yeah, could be another top 10 for him here. He is going to need a little bit of help from those ahead, though.
Still being chased by Grissinger coming through Eau Rouge. Michael's got to watch out for moves like that. He's got Lynn behind him. I think Lynn's still on a bit of a recovery after losing some spots. He's still up higher than where he began his race as well. As breaking down. One thing I love, and a big lock up there. Who was that? That was Andre Schumacher, and that might be a position. He's going to try and sneak through the inside through Malmedy, and he gets it. Nicely done by Porter.
Yeah, he's got to watch out though. Lynn is pretty fast behind and closing in. He actually just got stuck behind Schumacher there, but there is this group of three behind Cam that look like they've got pretty good pace.
I was about to say, before we got all that smoke from the locked tires there from Schumacher into Lacombe, as side by side down into Pouhon here. Lynn is trying to attack on Grissinger. Grissinger leaves the door open slightly, but unable to force his way through. Lynn will have to try again later. I was going to say, Christian, one thing I love with the onboards is you can really see the suspension travel of these cars, especially under braking the wave. The nose just dips down.
Oh yeah, it's massive, and these things are just so softly sprung versus a modern car. You just get a ton of movement in them, and they're pretty light, relatively speaking. Very light versus, say, a modern Formula car, but there's kind of no sort of requirements for aero with them, so they're just very, very softly sprung.
As Lynn is getting ever closer, could he finally get the job done on Grissinger here? Maybe into the final chicane. Let's see what he's got. He's going to take a look, but he seems kind of far back to me. And yeah, he decides against it.
Yeah, Lynn's kind of looking like he's going to go for a bit of the switchback here. He is going to get a better run. He's going to be on the outside, though, into what effectively is the modern turn one. Yep,
down into La Source, and still too far apart to try and get side by side through here. Ahead of them, Andre Schumacher wants that spot back from Porter and has been hounding him. You can see him at times there on the screen within touching distance. Let's see what each of these pairs has in store for us up the Kemmel Straight. Looks like Schumacher's close enough. Is Lynn? Yes, he is. Both of them gaining quickly. Are we going to have a double pass into the Lacombe chicane? Schumacher's going to look to the outside. Looks like Lynn's going to look to the inside. Schumacher is through. Lynn is almost. He goes side by side with Grissinger, who tries his hardest to hold him back, but he cannot.
Yeah, Grissinger a little bit nice on the switchback there. Gave Lynn the opportunity to open out the third and final part of Lacombe there and get the move done. Schumacher pretty easily through on Cam into the first part.
Back down the hill they go now, out of Speaker's Corner and heading towards Pouhon. That gap up at the front is up to 17 seconds now. And Zoko has been actually already lapping cars himself. Looks like back row Bob allowing him by. Zoko still our second place ahead of Bill Tyler, who holds the final podium position. That battle for the podium really separated ever since our big wreck, honestly. Kane Lasky still relatively close to Bill, but from there on down, everybody has kind of found their own bit of racing space. Really, this is one of our big trains that we've got in the fight that is heading down, I believe, for, it looks like this is ninth position or so. No, excuse me, this is 12th, so this is Andre Schumacher leading the group.
Yeah, 4 seconds ahead is that battle for about ninth. That's Plumley, Salgado, Nolan Smith.
Down into the braking of the bus stop. Oh, Schumacher's going to be under attack once again. There you can see, heading through, Cam Porter outbrakes him, almost contact though, as Lynn nearly bumps into the gearbox of Schumacher. Thankfully, nobody makes any touching. And as we see them coming down the front stretch, the traditional front stretch, once again into La Source, another look as Schumacher locks up the brakes, trying to get it steered into that hairpin. Lynn still unable to capitalize on that. Man, he's got to be careful because Andre might lose this position instead of gaining one.
Yeah, and there was a big moment for someone behind as well. I think it was Gary Ho with a huge slide out of La Source.
Running in 16th behind them. He's in a little bit of a fight with Mosquera and Jorge Nieva as we come into the braking for Lecumbe. Once again, Cam Porter able to retain that 12th position over Andre Schumacher. 4 cars in a line, all for that spot, with 3 more just in the background that you catch glimpses of here and there. Also fighting for P16. All kinds of action going on. We had so many start this race, even though we've lost a few. It has not gone away. Sorry, I saw Gary Ho go very wide down into Ravage. And so, well, Kane Lasky, is caught up to Bill Tyler and maybe is a little too ambitious into the chicane.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple of times today. Not necessarily from Kane, but just from drivers kind of stacking into the back of each other in these chicanes. Fortunately, Kane has actually gone wide now. He's going to be vulnerable to Claridge behind.
And Claridge is going to take it. I wonder what happened with Lasky. I'm not sure if maybe he made contact with someone or something along the way that car is maybe handling poorly, but 2 corners in a row, either overdriving it or losing the steering on that car. That's going to allow Mick back up into P4, who is still down 1 position from where he started this race. So just about back where he began, but he's been having blinking problems a couple of times, and that's not making life any easier, as now he is sliding out of the corner.
Yeah, he's looking vulnerable into La Source here. He's having to go a bit defensive.
Lasky's still with him. Oh, Lasky with a little bit of a dive, locks up the right front to keep from running into the back of him.
We've had an incident for that 13th spot. Lynn has gone around with Grissinger.
Grissinger's able to get the car back on track, and looks like Lynn is still rolling. How did this happen? Let's take a look at the replay here. Down into the bus stop chicane.
Just a stack up here. You see Cam was a little bit deep.
23, I think, maybe kind of caused that one. That's Grissinger. I think maybe he sent it in a little bit hard and was trying to collect the car, and unfortunately, I don't think this is a legitimate pass attempt. Just the car was kind of there.
Yeah, I don't really think he was actually expecting to see Lynn on his outside there, and I do think there was a bit of a stack up with Cam. He was a little bit deep into the first part, and then it sort of backed everybody up in that first group of 3. And Grissinger himself ran wide, and then looked like he was just trying to make the corner and ended up crossing over lines with Lynn.
Michael tried to give the spot back, but it seems like he's not going to be able to because Lynn had to take a tow, and he's in pit lane. So we are now up to about 10 cars that have visited the pits so far in this race. Maybe 3 of them have returned. John Olson, Toga Hisada's back out there, but he's in 32nd. Looks like Neil Kemp is back out, and Don Peak is on track. Kane Lasky is down to 5th place now, with Claridge having gotten by him, of course. So Claridge in that P4, able to stretch away, thankfully. So he's maybe put a bit of a damper on that number 7's car's attempts to try and take that spot. The real question is, does he have the pace and about 4 laps to go to catch up to Bill Tyler and get on the podium?
It gap's just over about 3.2 seconds the last time they crossed the stripe, so he's going to have to be gaining at a rate of about a second a lap to be able to pull this off. We've seen really good pace from Mick in the past, so it's possible, but just have to see.
That was 3 seconds last time. It's down to 1.4. I think the pace is on here for the number 3. There was some sort of mistake from Bill Tyler. Let me check his lap as he crosses the line to see if it's off pace significantly or what happened there. 220.9. That's not outrageously slow, but also nothing stellar. Whereas Claridge hit a 219.1, which was his fastest lap of the race. So the number 3 car is definitely on it here.
Yeah, it seems like actually getting turned around for Mick has seemingly helped him out a bit. There's been really strong pace since then, and he's been pretty ruthless in running everybody down, and looks like he might get as high as 3rd. I think Ben Zocco is just too far out of reach.
Yeah, I think so as well. It looks like, Grissinger is in pit lane. So is this, it's a black flag. Grissinger has gone over the incident limit, unfortunately. And the 23 has to serve a stop and go because of that. I'm sure he's got some damage that maybe he's going to try and sort out in the meantime. So Bill Tyler, after maybe he thought he had a podium wrapped up here, has suddenly come under threat from Mick Claridge, 2 veterans in this series. So who is going to be the more wily amongst them?
Well, you know for sure that the Bill's going to try and hang on to this. There's just going to be only 3 laps to go here, and while Mick does have the pace advantage, I think Bill will want to pick up that 3rd spot.
They got to be careful, though, because if they start fighting, Kane Lasky's only back by about a second, so he could definitely become involved. And if Mick passes Bill very quickly, it's 3 seconds up to Ben Zocco. That's not impossible, though it's going to be take some incredible pace for him to be able to get up to the Australian and take 2nd place. Let's see what he does here down into one of the more popular places to overtake into the final chicane.
Yeah, it looks like he's too far back at the moment. Does really run up to the back of Bill in the first part of the corner. But I think if there's an opportunity here, it's going to be in a Lecom.
Yeah, no doubt. That slipstream seems to be pretty powerful today. So as they come down into the final hairpin now, somebody off track by them. That is Michael Flaherty. So I think that was him having his own issue, that or just letting them all by, not wanting to get involved in a battle for podium position here late in the race. And Claridge is absolutely chucking the car through, almost more than he needs to, and now he's going to get held up. He'll get the slipstream, but he doesn't have the run that maybe he wanted initially.
Yeah, it did check him up a bit, but thankfully the straightaway is long enough for him. He's going to be fully alongside here. Very aggressive squeeze, I would say, for the 49, but does get the move done in the first part of Lecom.
Wow, decisive move from Mick Claridge. He is hungry for this one, and that means Ben Zocco has got to watch in his mirrors. Yes, it is a 3-second gap, but all he has to do is about a second a lap faster than Ben, and last lap by was 2 seconds slower than normal for Ben Zocco.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with Ben there, but certainly going to need to, turn up the pace a little bit.
This is not good for fans of the number 8. We'll see if he can hold off Mick Claridge here. He cannot make mistakes like that anymore. We're 3 laps to go. 2 and some change, really, at this point for our drivers. Ben's happy hunting ground is going to have to be pretty pleasant here at the end for him if he wants to bring home a P2.
Yeah, well, the good news for him is that he's not going to be vulnerable on the penultimate lap on that run up to Lecom. He's clearly far enough ahead that that's not going to be an issue. But if he even gives Mick one opportunity on the final lap, Mick's definitely going to take it. So he's got to try and maintain this gap as best he can.
I don't know what Mick's talking about with this injury. He's certainly not driving like he's dealing with one, as that number 3 car has been on fire ever since he got tipped around. We got to remember, I don't think that one was necessarily his fault going through here. So Mick's probably been a little bit annoyed this whole race, driving with the red mist.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really think that was kind of anyone's fault. We've seen it a couple of times throughout the race that stack-ups in the bus stop chicane, they just happen. It starts off usually with a slight mistake from someone ahead, and it's hard to anticipate how much you need to check up, and as soon as someone gets tagged even a little bit, they're going around. But I think this is probably Mick's best performance that we've seen this season so far. I mean, we've seen him turn up for a couple of rounds, and I know he wasn't too happy with some of those. There was a couple of incidents, sometimes a little bit of a lack of pace. But today, I think he's clearly been the strongest driver out on track, with the exception of Topi.
I agree on that one. Last lap, by the way, for Zoko, 2:20.6. Claridge, 2:19.3. That's 1.3 seconds. That is fast enough. And he's now down to 1.2 on the track currently, with a lap and a half to go. So if he gets that slipstream next time up the Kemmel straight, I think we're going to see some stout defense out of Zoko.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to go to the inside and go defensive with it. That's really the only play that you can make, force him to go around the outside. But he's just got to try and maintain this gap all the way through to that point of the circuit, because at the moment, Mick is still too far back to make this happen. But if he can close to about half of this, he's going to be well within draft range to have a shot at it.
The only thing is, I'm sure he doesn't want to throw this away. There's no championship on the line since he's just been here sporadically all season. But he wants a good result after having some less than stellar ones most of the season for himself. Courtney is now almost half a minute ahead of everybody up there. Just been stomping the field and is not under threat. He is very little concern, has very little concern with this fight. That said, Topi, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, will be your champion pretty much no matter what happens, but he's going to finish it in style, it looks like, here today by taking his 7th win out of 12 races. Unbelievable stuff there from the Finn to take his 2nd championship, and also only I believe the 4th different driver in the history of the Grand Prix Legend Series to take multiple championships. That is a rare feat, as we now get the white flag out for our drivers. They're going to be crossing by that flag stand here on the run down the hill now. Here is where Zoko is going to be most vulnerable. What's going to happen?
Yeah, Mick's definitely close enough to pull this off. It's all going to come down to this run through Eau Rouge.
Here we go. This is going to be decisive over the crest if he gets enough of a run, and he does. He's going to have the slipstream. He's going to have better momentum. Zoko places the car on the racing line. He doesn't defend. He's going to leave the door open, but Mick is still going to have to really dive. He's within about 2 car lengths, but he's not quite there. He's going to have to try again later. It's not over. He'll still have other chances, and he could get creative, like trying to go right here, and he gets chopped off as Zoko's not going to leave that open down through Malmedy.
Yeah, now Zoko knows that he needs to go defensive, going to the inside for the downhill hairpin. Mick's going to struggle to stay on the outside here to get the inside for No Name, but you know, the bus stop chicane is still there. That's the secondary passing opportunity, and Mick's certainly close enough to try it.
And not just the bus stop, La Source hairpin is going to be a great chance. Is he going to dare into Pujon? I was going to say, he's going to shake him off the line. He scares him off, and Zoko opens the door. Mick Claridge is going to manage to get that 2nd place anyways.
Yeah, I think Ben's going to be upset about that. He's definitely going to try here, but he's on the outside.
Tries to squeeze him down a little bit. Claridge holds the line, and he's going to be able to retain it. A little bit of slipstream might help Ben Zoko, but he's going to have to be mighty coming through Blanchimont, and he's going to have to be quite brave, as there we see the number 2 of Topi Courtney. He is certainly not a number 2 today. He takes P1 and the championship here in the Grand Prix Legend Series as he rounds the final corner. Didn't quite have the finale that we hoped for, facing off against Hawkins, but he is still your winner this season, Topi Courtney.
Yeah, and a well-deserving champion, has just had ridiculous pace over everyone throughout the entire season. Ben did go for a bit of a move into the bus stop chicane, but it was a little half-hearted, and now it's set him back. He's not going to have the chance at the La Source.
Yeah, he tried a Danny Rick there, licked the stamp and sent it, but didn't quite have the grip to make something like that work. So how about Mick Claridge? He still gains a position from where he started, finishing P2. climbing through the field. Zoko still needs credit, though. Third place is phenomenal for him. Tyler just off the podium, though. Did Lasky DQ? I think Kane Lasky just DQ'd or something.
He did. He's dropping down the order.
Oh, no. That must have been right at the finish. How did that happen?
Oh, I think he actually removed the car from the track. I don't think he actually finished the race. I think he got the finish line. He pulled the car up after La Source.
Oh, no, Kane. Oh, no. Oh, he pulled a Nigel Mansell. He thought the race was over and gave it up, it looks like. Well, that is going to be frustrating for him. But he's not in the championship at the very least. Got to watch out where that finish line is and can't try and wave to the crowd a little bit too early there. But looks like as the rest of them cross the line, how many are we going to get actually finishing this race? I'm seeing somewhere in the realm of about 35, and only 26 of them will be on the lead lap here today. But we'll celebrate the championship and victory of Topi Korteniemi in a minute. As we come back after a short break, we'll have the driver interviews as well as the official results. So don't go away. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. We said this one puts on a good show, and it did. As we didn't quite have the battle for the lead that we hoped for. Topi Korteniemi was a full 25 seconds ahead of Mick Claridge. But that was the story, really. Claridge, who started up towards the front, found himself fighting for second place, had it taken from him on lap one as they came through the bus stop, tangled up with Sebastian Tixier, who unfortunately had to DNF in this race, and then fought his way back to that P2. Absolutely incredible. All the way to the last lap between himself and Ben Zoko, who wrapped up third place and deserves a big pat on the back for that one. He fought hard, but it's going to be difficult to keep Mick Claridge behind you. Bill Tyler wound up in fourth spot. How about David Rossi, a top 5 for the newly crowned F2 champion? Topi Kortaniemi, of course, also our champion up in the F1 fight up there. Matt Wright finished P6, and you've got Miro Hraski in 7th. And it's Nolan Smith up to 8th place in the end, as Robert Plumley finished in 9th, up from 23rd on the grid. Top 10 were rounded out by Marco Salgado.
And Cam Porter narrowly missed out on a second consecutive top 10, but he did run from 24th up to 11th, so another good drive by him. Andre Schumacher locked in a battle with Cam for the majority of the race. He had a good run as well, 21st to 12th. Jorge Neva, fortunately one of his drivers early on to have an incident. He started 6th but dropped back to 13th by the flag. Gary Ho went 14th to 14th despite a couple of wild moments, I think it's fair to say. Javier Mosquera up 20 positions. He started way at the back, no qualifying time for him, 35th to 15th, a nice run. And he was followed up by Joan Rodriguez, who also did the same, 36th to 16th. So 2 drivers from the same row finishing on the same row at the end. Robert Pangrazi, another guy who went up from 25th to 17th. Andrew Eng, 31st to 18th, so a nice run by him. Mats Linden, 38th to 19th, and then Bjorn Ackerman finishing out the top 20.
21st went to Roberto Brota with Manuel Matasic in 22nd. Zach Purcell was P23. Michael Grissinger still managed to finish on the lead lap despite having to serve a penalty late in the race. He was 24th. Harnvey was the last one on the lead lap in 25th. Kane Lasky stopped before the actual finish line because he wasn't paying attention. Wound up the first one lap down to 26. Flaherty finished P27, and John Olsen was 28th. And it was back row Bob, P29, and Jacob Hudson, 30th. From there on down, you had a couple drivers managing to finish. Hisada, Olsen, Peak got back out on the track, but a lot of them were DNFs in the end for this race. And we've got our winner and twice crowned champion now ready to talk to us. Topi, I was a bit sad that Hawkins didn't come to try and face off with you. I'm not sure if you were sad or relieved on that, but now twice a champion and only the 4th driver in the history of the GPL series to be able to do so. How does it feel?
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I hope Brandon would have raced and we would have a very good final for the season because before when I've done a full season, the championship has been decided well before the last round. So I don't know, kind of relieved, but I was looking forward for a good race for the championship win.
We were too. In the end, you kind of ran away with it, and it seemed like it was kind of no contest out there in front. Did you pull back a little bit on the last lap because you were up to nearly 30 seconds and it wound up at 25? It kind of felt like maybe you just kind of cruised that one home in the end.
Yeah, I kind of like just cruised the last 2 turns. Just for no specific reason, but yeah.
Well, okay, so you've now become the 4th ever to break over multiple championships. Mick Claridge, Michel Dudignon, and Rob Olenek are the only others who have done that. But you got a ways to go to catch up to them on that championship sheet. As the next one up, Olenek and Dudignon are tied at 5. Are you gonna stick around and try and take that many more, or is this a Nico Rosberg gonna break, or what's the plan?
I'll probably take a break next season. I have some work stuff that's keeping me busy, but maybe next year, maybe later, I will definitely come back and maybe do a few races next season.
Well, we'd definitely love to see you back and see you bring the fight to some of the fast guys. Who can you help thank not only for a win now, but a championship?
Mick, of course, he's been the biggest fan of mine, and cheers, mate. And I want to congratulate David Rossi for the F2 championship. I guess he won that, and Togo were a very, very good quali lap. I was when I saw that, I was waiting for a good race with him, but I think some kind of mayhem happened behind me. So yeah, bad luck there too.
That's putting it mildly, as that was Topi Kortaniemi who took the victory in the championship today. Behind the fin, it was Mick Claridge, and Christian has caught up with the man who had to work very hard for that P2.
Mick, we heard Topi talk a little bit about the mayhem that unfolded behind him, and unfortunately for you, you kind of got spun around, and then it was a recovery drive from that point on. But I think it's fair to say that that's the strongest pace we've seen from you all season, and you did eventually get back to second on the last lap.
Yeah, apologies to Seb. That was my fault, all that mayhem. And it was a nightmare. It couldn't have been worse if it tried. When I actually got spun, I couldn't see any cars to my left because iRacing decided to show all the cars to my right. So I was actually going to pull out in front of the whole lot of them again. And as soon as I put my foot down, a car appeared, out of nowhere. So I stopped and reversed and did it properly, and then carried on. Then I nearly hit someone just going down the straight as soon as I got up to second gear. But yeah, you know what? I did quite well this week. I don't normally do well at Spa anyway. Done a load of practice, and I just wanted to see if I could sort of get on pace, without gripping the steering wheel like I'm trying to kill it, because that's what I normally do. And I've sort of got there. When I was catching Ben, I didn't actually think I'd catch Ben. When I saw the gap, was when I was chasing down Kane and Bill. I think the gap to Ben was about 8 seconds, so I thought, I'm never going to catch Ben. So he must have had an off, or something must have gone wrong for him. But yeah, as soon as I was catching Ben, then that was it. I just started going back to the same old thing, of gripping the steering wheel miles too hard for my wrists, at this point in my life. But yeah, really good. Happy with the pace, I was happy. Toppy got a 17.8 in practice session, 17.7 I think he got. I just scraped a 17.9. This was during the week, so I was really happy to sort of be on his pace for once, and yeah, I don't know, maybe we could have had a bit of a race today if things were different, but yeah, never mind.
Yeah, it was definitely unfortunate that we kind of lost the majority of the top 5 on that opening lap, but as you say, the bus stop at Spa, you just get those kind of concertina moments happening, and it's unfortunate. It's really kind of nobody's fault. Just everyone, there's nowhere to go, as you said.
Oh no, that was me. That one was my fault. I was so tight on Seb going into the second part of it. Yeah, that's what caused the spin. He couldn't go any further over. I know that just by judging by where my car was. So yeah, no, that one was all on me.
Well, it's that's one of the things actually with commenting on with the Lotus 49 community, that it's just that there's a ton of respect between all of you. You all help each other out, and it's really great to see. I don't personally feel like there was really anything anyone could have done there. I know you're taking responsibility from it, but I just want to say it's great to see people actually doing that. I think it makes the 49
I agree, Christian. Seb's fault all along, mate.
Well, the thing is, in the race, we had Seb saying it was his fault. Well, not necessarily it was his fault. He was apologizing for the incident and whatnot, and it's just, it's a nice thing to see. I think it's why I would say that I kind of have a soft spot for the 49 community. It's just it's a great group of people, and it has a really nice league feel to it. But I do want to question you on one thing. So yeah. You said that you don't do well at Spa. You are aware that you have the most wins, well, tied for the most wins at Spa, right?
Yeah, but have a look at how many races I've done compared to everyone else. Honestly, that's what it is. I'm here. I've been here since iRacing opened, and as soon as the 49 released, I was in it, and I've never got out. So I don't know. So what can you say? I've had times where I've lost to Michel. I don't even know if you know Michel. Michel Didon, lost to him 40 seconds. Just because he's blistered. Away from everyone, but I don't know. I like the track, but yeah, I always seem to struggle. But yeah, I don't know. If you're saying I've got a ton of wins, then yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yourself and Michelle are actually tied with 5 wins here at Spa. But yeah, it's great to see you on track. I know that you can't do all the races and whatnot, but it was nice to see you had really, really good pace here at Spa, and you gave us a great show watching you come back through the field. I do feel a little bit for Ben losing that second spot on the very last lap like that.
Do you know what? I did as well. I didn't really want to pass him, but it's just the.
I don't believe that for a moment.
I don't believe that either, if I'm honest.
No, the thought entered my head. I thought, oh God, has Ben ever got a second place in a broadcast race? And it did enter my mind, but yeah, you still have to do it, and you still have to fight hard. But to be honest with you, I didn't actually think I'd get Ben, because Ben and Gary Teal are the toughest guys, and Terry Worth are the toughest guys in this series to get round. So I actually didn't think I'd get round Ben. To be honest with you, I thought it was going to be a good fight, and he's still going to get me. So that was the truth.
Well, it did look like it was going to be kind of going right down to the wire until that slight mistake from him. But we would like to catch up with Ben, so I'm going to have to ask you to give a little bit of a shout out to who you want to thank for the race today, and then I'll have to catch up with you after that.
No, I just want to have a shout out to Toppy, because he's won the championship, and he's just, I know Brandon wasn't here today, but which was a shame. But Toppy's, I don't know if everyone actually knows what he's taken on this season. He's actually going for this championship and the Lotus 79. No one has done that. Nobody has even come close to doing it. So for him to even be close to doing it, which he is, it's just unbelievable. And I told him in the week how much I respect him for that. So yeah, I just can't believe he's got this close to doing it. So well done, mate.
Well, we're always happy to talk to you, and congratulations on the second place in the fight back.
Cheers, mate. Sorry my answers were too long again.
No worries.
So, see you later.
That was McLaren's second place. Now we get to talk to Ben Zocco, who still took third, which is worth celebrating, I think. And Ben, you told us last time out that you're pretty strong at Spa. Did you expect to be quite this strong?
No, I didn't. But I was obviously helped by being in the right place at the right time when the accident happened ahead of me. I could have very easily have been taken out by that, but managed to just avoid all of that, and then just keep it together for the rest of the race. I was a little bit cranky at myself for pushing through Eau Rouge and getting the slowdown.
So that explains, because we were trying to figure out, we saw you had a 2:22 in one of the laps, and we didn't catch the slowdown penalty. That may have made a bit of the difference there. I still, a third place has to be absolutely phenomenal, especially considering the talent that has shown up today. This is such a popular track that it seems like this was kind of a who's who that showed up.
Yeah, it was really good to see. Even like Mick coming back and Togo up there and things like in an earlier practice session, I got within a couple of tenths of Togo's time, and I'm like, I must be doing pretty quick here. And then of course you get into qualifying and you're still 6th or 7th, but you see all these names that aren't usually or haven't been racing recently. So I think I must have done a pretty good lap and a pretty good qualifying, which is not my strength. It was it was a good grid, nice big grid for the season finale. Pretty happy to even finish just on the podium again. It was due to the attrition really. When I was looking back at Bill and thinking, if I just keep at this pace, which was actually like my fastest pace. Anyway, I thought I could easily finish here in second. I could see Mick coming through. And I think that slowdown really put him obviously close enough to, but even then, like what Mick was saying, I think I could have held him off. But when we went into Pouon, for some reason, I even thought I put a wheel off because for some reason it just kicked out sideways, and that's what kind of lost me the position. Otherwise, we would have been going down into La Source side by side probably. I would have just defended every single corner. Mick and I have had plenty of battles like that throughout the years. I know that if I leave a car width, he'll take it, so I've got to close every door. And so that was good fun, so I don't really mind not getting second. It doesn't mean too much to me. I was coming here tonight to seal what I think is 4th or 5th in the championship. You asked me earlier, Joe, if I was caring much about the championship, and I said no, but as I got to the last couple of races and I saw that I was like best of the rest, I'm like, I've got to beat Laust, I've got to beat Xavier, whoever else is challenging me. So it was good to to seal that with a podium.
Indeed, and yeah, I think you're a little too far back. Particularly, it might be kind of close there, but I don't think you got him. You should definitely have fourth though in the end. Well, it's been so fun to have you back and see you racing again. Will we see you much next season?
Only until daylight savings, which I think is like October, the first weekend of October or something. So, what's that going to be, like half a season? I'll do a few. I'll do up until the time zone changes.
Yeah, it'll be, I think, into about week 3 or somewhere thereabouts. Well, thanks for coming and talking to us. That was, of course, Ben Zoko, who finished third. And I think we've got Cam Porter ready to talk to Christian as well.
It was so close to another top 10, but once again, another great drive. You know, you started back in 24th, you avoided the first lap melee, and then you had that great battle with Andre Schumacher for pretty much the entire race thereafter.
Yeah, that was a really exciting race. I'm very happy with my performance today from a personal standpoint. Had a great battle with Andre, obviously, and yeah, I was really surprised actually to get up to 11th after starting pretty far down the order. I blew my qualifying. I put in a safe lap at first, and then had a minor off track on my second lap. So that's why I was a little farther down than I felt like my pace showed. And yeah, just really enjoyed that race. Had a good battle with Michael Grissinger as well. He fell back a little bit, unfortunately. But yeah, fun race today.
Yeah, absolutely. You got a lot of coverage because there was a pretty tight battle happening around you, and that was pretty much the closest battle we had for the majority of the race until the kind of front of the field got pretty tight at the very, very end. Now, we've seen your performances improve pretty much consistently throughout the season. Are you going to come back next season, and do you have any goals for next season?
Yes, absolutely. I'm coming back next season. I can't guarantee I'm going to be able to put in a full season because my wife and I like to travel on the weekends. So just my goals, I guess, just to improve my consistency, maybe do a little bit more practice. Like the last couple of races, I've done a little extra practice, some practice before the races near the end of the season. So I felt like that affected my performance. So, get more practice in, just work on my consistency, keep the car pointed straight, and make less mistakes.
It's been a good plan so far, and it's definitely worked out. Obviously, 2 very strong results towards the end of the season. We definitely hope to see more of them in the future. And before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
I want to say congratulations to Topi and David for their F1 and F2 championships, respectively. And I want to thank you guys for the always awesome coverage, and we're glad to have you back for next season.
Well, we appreciate you coming and talking with us as always, and congratulations on the 11th place finish. We hope to see you back.
Thanks again. See you next season.
That was Cam Porter, who came away just shy of a second top 10 in a row, but still been showing incredible pace out here. And we're going to wrap it up ourselves with a big thank you to the Lotus 49 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also a thank you to the team today, Rob, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. Next race will be on September 17th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. But be sure to check out our other broadcast listed here, because up next, Camel GT has their season finale at Long Beach, of all places. That'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.